this cube that's 2 inches on a side. I had seen a picture of it before. That was in the German nuclear reactor project.
How close was Hitler to the atomic bomb?
Germany might become a nuclear power. That would have won the war.
I was selected to figure out the story behind this cube.
In the labyrinth of history's most profound secrets, few artifacts stir as much intrigue as the Nazi uranium cube found in 2013. A mere 5 centimeters in size, this dense metal cube, unexpectedly discovered in the hands of a physics professor, opens a Pandora's box of questions. Was it a silent witness to Nazi Germany's covert nuclear ambitions? Or merely a relic from a bygone era? This tale unwinds the enigma of the cube, revealing chapters of hidden history. The enigmatic cube. The year 2013 witnessed an extraordinary event in the annals of historical artifacts, as something seemingly mundane yet profoundly significant emerged from the shadows of the past. Timothy Koeth, a professor of physics at the University of Maryland, became the unexpected custodian of a piece of World War II history, a small, unassuming uranium cube. This chapter in the saga began on an ordinary day, when Koeth received a call from a friend, a prelude to an extraordinary gift. In a parking lot rendezvous, the friend presented Koeth with a simple paper bag. Inside, carefully wrapped in paper napkins, lay a small, heavy cube, barely 5 centimeters on each side and weighing over 2 kilograms. Its surface bore the scars of age and handling, marks and small indentations, suggesting a history far richer than its simple appearance. The cube's true intrigue, however, lay in an accompanying note scrawled anonymously, which read, "Taken from the reactor that Hitler tried to build. Gift from Ninninger." This cryptic message set Koeth on a journey of discovery, sparking questions about the cube's origins and its role in one of the most harrowing periods of modern history. To understand the significance of this discovery, one must delve into the history of the cube and the era it came from. These uranium cubes were part of Nazi Germany's ambitious but ultimately failed attempt to harness nuclear energy and possibly develop atomic weapons during World War II. Under the leadership of Werner Heisenberg, a Nobel laureate and a key figure in the development of quantum mechanics, the Nazis embarked on a secret project to build a nuclear reactor. Heisenberg's team attempted to initiate a sustained nuclear chain reaction by submerging hundreds of these uranium cubes in heavy water, a form of water with an increased proportion of the hydrogen isotope deuterium. This reactor, if successful, would not only demonstrate Germany's scientific prowess, but could also have led to the development of a nuclear bomb, altering the course of the war. The cube in Koeth's possession was likely one of these components. Its journey from a top-secret Nazi laboratory to a parking lot in Maryland, USA, spanned decades and crossed continents. The post-war fate of these cubes is shrouded in mystery. While many were captured by the Allies and sent to the United States or Soviet Union, others vanished, surfacing occasionally in the hands of private collectors or black market dealers. Koeth's discovery was not just a relic, it was a tangible piece of a darker past. It embodied the scientific ambition and ethical paradoxes of the era. The cube's mere existence raised questions about the extent of Nazi Germany's nuclear capabilities and how close they came to altering the global balance of power. As Koeth examined the cube, he pondered its past. Who had handled it? What experiments had it been part of? Was it witness to the frantic efforts of a nation at war, striving for a breakthrough that could have changed the world? The cube's heavy presence was a silent testament to the ambitions and fears of a bygone era. Koeth's quest to unravel the mystery of this cube would take him on a journey through time, piecing together a narrative that spanned science, war, and moral ambiguity. This small cube was not just a piece of uranium, it was a key to understanding a pivotal moment in history, a moment when the world teetered on the brink of a nuclear age. The dawn of nuclear research. The story of the mysterious Nazi uranium cube is deeply intertwined with the dawn of nuclear research, a period marked by groundbreaking discoveries and fraught with geopolitical tensions. This chapter delves into the early stages of nuclear science, setting the stage for a race that would eventually culminate in the development of nuclear weapons. The journey begins in the early 20th century, a time of scientific renaissance. Pioneering minds were uncovering the secrets of the atom, a pursuit that would inadvertently pave the path to nuclear power. In 1938, German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann, along with Austrian physicist Lisa Meitner, discovered nuclear fission, the process of splitting an atomic nucleus, releasing immense energy. This breakthrough was a scientific milestone, but it also opened the proverbial Pandora's box, the potential for a new, devastating form of weaponry. As the political landscape of Europe darkened with the rise of the Nazi regime, the implications of nuclear fission were not lost on the scientific community. Many eminent scientists, predominantly Jewish, fled Europe, escaping the oppressive and dangerous environment under Hitler's rule. Among them were key figures like Albert Einstein and Enrico Fermi, both of whom would play significant roles in the unfolding nuclear narrative. In July 1939, the world stood on the precipice of war. Albert Einstein, then living in the United States, was visited by his colleague and friend, Hungarian physicist Leo Szilard. Szilard was deeply concerned about the potential of Nazi Germany harnessing the power of nuclear fission for warfare. He persuaded Einstein to pen a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning of the dangers and suggesting that the United States should also invest in nuclear research. This letter, sometimes credited with initiating the Manhattan Project, marked a pivotal moment in the history of nuclear science. Meanwhile, in Nazi Germany, the regime was not oblivious to the potential of nuclear technology. The Uranverein, or Uranium Club, was formed on the eve of World War II, bringing together some of Germany's most brilliant physicists, including Werner Heisenberg. Their goal was to investigate the military applications of nuclear fission, particularly the development of a nuclear bomb. However, the project was riddled with challenges, not least of which was the moral dilemma faced by scientists like Heisenberg, who remained in Germany. The German nuclear project faced numerous hurdles. Firstly, the theoretical understanding of nuclear fission was still in its infancy. The scientists struggled with the technical aspects of controlling a nuclear chain reaction, a prerequisite for both a reactor and a bomb. Secondly, there were logistical challenges, including the scarcity of resources like uranium and heavy water, which were critical for experiments. As the war progressed, these difficulties were compounded by the strategic decisions of the Nazi leadership. Hitler's regime, focused on immediate military needs, often overlooked the long-term potential of nuclear research. This led to a lack of coordinated effort and adequate funding for the Uranverein. The project was further hampered by internal disagreements and rivalries among the scientists, as well as the increasing Allied bombing campaigns that disrupted research and supply lines. Despite these challenges, the German nuclear project made some progress. Experiments were conducted, including attempts to create a functional nuclear reactor using uranium cubes. These cubes, which would later become artifacts of historical significance, were a part of Heisenberg's experiments to achieve a self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction. While the Nazis never managed to build a nuclear weapon, their efforts laid some of the groundwork for future nuclear research. As World War II drew to a close, the Allied powers, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom, accelerated their own nuclear research. The Manhattan Project, spurred by Einstein's letter and the threat of a Nazi bomb, was advancing rapidly. The race for nuclear supremacy had reached a critical juncture: the Nazi pursuit of nuclear power. The unfolding of World War II saw a parallel clandestine war, a race for nuclear supremacy. At the heart of this race was Nazi Germany's ambitious endeavor to harness nuclear power, a pursuit shrouded in secrecy and fraught with moral and scientific complexities. This chapter delves into the intricacies of the Nazi nuclear program and the pivotal role of the enigmatic uranium cubes. In the shadow of the swastika, the Third Reich, driven by a relentless quest for technological superiority, embarked on a quest to develop nuclear weapons. Spearheading this effort was the Uranverein, or Uranium Club, a covert group of German scientists. Among them, the most prominent figure was Werner Heisenberg, a Nobel laureate and a titan in the field of quantum mechanics. Heisenberg's reputation and scientific prowess made him the de facto leader of Germany's nuclear research. The German nuclear project, however, was a journey of trial and error, marked by both scientific innovation and significant setbacks. The primary objective was to achieve a self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction, a crucial step towards either generating power or creating a bomb. The central element in these experiments was uranium, and more specifically, the refinement of uranium into cubes, which were thought to be the optimal shape for sustaining a chain reaction. The scientific theory behind the use of uranium cubes was straightforward yet ingenious. By arranging these cubes in a lattice submerged in heavy water, deuterium oxide, the scientists hoped to initiate and control a nuclear chain reaction. Heavy water acted as a moderator, slowing down the neutrons released during fission and thus facilitating the chain reaction. The meticulous arrangement of the cubes was critical. Too far apart, and the reaction would fizzle out; too close, and it could become uncontrollable. Despite the theoretical soundness, the practical challenges were daunting. The foremost challenge was the procurement of sufficient quantities of uranium and heavy water. While Germany had some uranium reserves from the occupied territories, notably Czechoslovakia, the supply was limited. Similarly, heavy water, primarily sourced from Norway, was in short supply due to Allied sabotage efforts. Another significant hurdle was the internal strife and ideological pressures within the Nazi regime. The Uranverein was not immune to the prevailing atmosphere of mistrust and infighting that characterized the Third Reich. Scientists like Heisenberg found themselves in a precarious position, navigating the treacherous waters of Nazi politics while attempting to maintain scientific integrity. The moral implications of their work were also a source of internal conflict, as they were acutely aware of the destructive potential of their research. Amid these challenges, the German nuclear project progressed at a painstakingly slow pace. Experiments with the uranium cubes yielded mixed results. While there were indications that a chain reaction was feasible, the scientists were far from achieving a critical mass necessary for a weapon or a fully functional reactor. The project, divided among various research teams across Germany, lacked the cohesion and singular focus that characterized the Manhattan Project in the United States. As the war progressed, the Nazi nuclear program began to falter. The Allied bombing campaigns increasingly targeted German industrial and research facilities, disrupting the supply chain and damaging critical infrastructure. The shifting priorities of the war effort also meant that resources were often diverted away from the nuclear project to more immediate military needs. In the final analysis, the Nazi pursuit of nuclear power was a story of ambition, hampered by practical realities and ethical quandaries. The uranium cubes, which had once symbolized the potential for a new era of energy or destruction, became relics of a failed endeavor. They stood as mute witnesses to a project that, while it advanced scientific understanding in some respects, ultimately fell short of its lofty goals. In the aftermath of the war, as the full extent of the Nazi atrocities came to light, the uranium cubes and the scientists involved in the project would be subject to intense scrutiny. The legacy of the Uranverein was complex, entangled in the moral and ethical implications of scientific research under a totalitarian regime. The enigmatic uranium cube found in 2013 serves as a poignant reminder of this turbulent chapter in history where the pursuit of knowledge intersected with the darkest chapters of human conflict. The Allies' response and the Manhattan Project. In response to the growing threat of Nazi Germany's nuclear ambitions, the Allies, particularly the United States, embarked on one of the most significant scientific endeavors in history, the Manhattan Project. This chapter explores the Allies' response to the Nazi nuclear program, detailing the inception, challenges, and achievements of the Manhattan Project, a monumental effort that ultimately changed the course of World War II and the world at large. As World War II raged on, information about the Nazi pursuit of nuclear technology reached the Allied powers. The prospect of Hitler acquiring nuclear weapons was a nightmarish scenario, prompting an urgent response. The catalyst for this response was the 1939 letter from Albert Einstein to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning of the potential for a Nazi atomic bomb and urging the United States to accelerate its own nuclear research. The U.S. government's response was initially slow, but by 1942, with the war intensifying, the urgency became undeniable. This led to the birth of the Manhattan Project, a secret military project named after the Manhattan Engineer District of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which managed the program. The project's goal was clear and daunting: to develop an atomic bomb before Nazi Germany. The Manhattan Project brought together some of the brightest minds in physics and engineering, many of whom were refugees from Europe, fleeing the Nazi regime. Key figures included J. Robert Oppenheimer, dubbed the father of the atomic bomb, and Enrico Fermi, whose earlier work on nuclear reactions was pivotal. These scientists, along with thousands of others, worked in secret facilities across the United States, including Los Alamos in New Mexico, Oak Ridge in Tennessee, and Hanford in Washington. The scientific and engineering challenges faced by the Manhattan Project were monumental. Unlike the Germans, who focused on creating a nuclear reactor using uranium cubes, the Allies pursued both a plutonium and a uranium-based bomb. This dual approach required groundbreaking research in nuclear physics, as well as the development of massive industrial facilities to enrich uranium and produce plutonium. One of the critical challenges was the production of enough fissile material, either uranium-235 or plutonium-239, for a bomb. The process of uranium enrichment involved separating the rare isotope uranium-235 from the more common uranium-238. This was achieved through various methods, including gaseous diffusion and electromagnetic separation, both requiring enormous technical efforts and resources. At the same time, the project worked on producing plutonium in nuclear reactors. Plutonium-239, necessary for a bomb, was created by bombarding uranium-238 with neutrons in a reactor. The B reactor at the Hanford site was the world's first large-scale plutonium production reactor, a testament to the project's engineering feats. Amidst these scientific and technical endeavors, security and secrecy were paramount. The Manhattan Project was shrouded in utmost confidentiality, with many of its own scientists unaware of the project's true purpose. This secrecy was essential, not only to prevent sabotage, but also to keep the Axis powers, especially Germany and Japan, in the dark about the Allies' progress. The project was not without its moral dilemmas. Many scientists, including Oppenheimer, grappled with the ethical implications of their work. The prospect of creating a weapon of unprecedented destructive power weighed heavily on them, leading to debates and discussions about the use of the atomic bomb and its implications for humanity. Despite these challenges, the Manhattan Project achieved its goal in just 3 years, a remarkably short time given the complexity of the task. In July 1945, the world's first atomic bomb was successfully tested at the Trinity site in New Mexico. The explosion marked a new era in warfare and scientific capability, demonstrating the terrifying power of nuclear energy harnessed for destruction. The Manhattan Project's success, however, came after the defeat of Nazi Germany. The discovery that the German nuclear program had not produced a bomb did not diminish the project's significance. Instead, it underscored the importance of the Allies' decision to pursue the atomic bomb, a decision driven by the fear of what might have been if Hitler had acquired nuclear weapons first. The aftermath of war and the uranium cube's journey. As World War II drew to a close, the landscape of Europe was irrevocably altered. Amidst the chaos and devastation, the remnants of Nazi Germany's nuclear ambitions, including the uranium cubes, began their own mysterious journeys. This chapter explores the aftermath of the war, the fate of the uranium cubes, and how one such cube eventually found its way into the hands of Professor Timothy Koeth in 2013. When the war ended in 1945, the Allies swiftly moved to secure Nazi Germany's scientific assets, including materials and personnel involved in the nuclear program. The United States initiated Operation Alsos, part of the Manhattan Project, to capture German nuclear researchers and their materials. This operation led to the discovery of the remnants of the German nuclear effort, including Heisenberg's experimental reactor and the uranium cubes. These uranium cubes, which had once been at the forefront of Nazi Germany's nuclear aspirations, were now primarily of scientific and historical interest. The Allies recovered hundreds of these cubes, particularly from a facility in Haigerloch, where Heisenberg had attempted to achieve a sustained nuclear reaction. The recovered cubes were shipped to the United States and the United Kingdom for analysis and study, providing valuable insights into the German nuclear program. The journey of these cubes did not end there. While many were used for research purposes, others took a more clandestine path. Some made their way into the hands of collectors and dealers in the burgeoning market for war memorabilia. The chaotic post-war environment, with its shifting borders and displaced populations, allowed for the quiet dispersion of these relics across the globe. One such cube eventually surfaced in the United States, in the possession of a collector named Robert D. Nininger. Nininger, a member of the Manhattan Project, had acquired the cube as a souvenir of his involvement in the project. For decades, the cube remained a private keepsake, its historical significance known to only a few. In August 2013, this cube emerged from the shadows of history into the hands of Professor Timothy Koeth at the University of Maryland. The handoff in a parking lot, accompanied by a note linking the cube to Hitler's nuclear program, was a moment straight out of a spy novel. For Koeth, a physicist with a keen interest in history, this cube was not just a curiosity, it was a tangible link to a pivotal moment in history. Koeth, along with historian and fellow researcher Miriam Hebert, embarked on a mission to authenticate the cube and trace its history. This detective work involved meticulous examination and testing, including high-resolution spectroscopy to analyze the cube's composition. The analysis confirmed that the cube was made of natural, unenriched uranium, consistent with the materials used in the Nazi nuclear program. The researchers also delved into the historical context of the cube, piecing together its likely journey from a German laboratory to an American university. Their investigation shed light on the broader story of the Nazi nuclear program and its aftermath, including the fate of other uranium cubes. Some had been lost, destroyed, or remained hidden, while others resurfaced in unexpected places, including Eastern Europe and even Soviet hands. The story of this particular cube also raised broader questions about the ethics of war memorabilia and the legacy of scientific research under oppressive regimes. For Koeth and Hebert, the cube was a powerful symbol of the intersection of science, war, and morality. It stood as a reminder of a time when the world stood on the brink of nuclear annihilation and the complex legacy of those who sought to harness the atom. The ethical dilemmas and scientific legacy. As the story of the Nazi uranium cube unfolds, it reveals not only a historical narrative, but also a profound contemplation on the ethical dilemmas faced by scientists during wartime and the lasting scientific legacy of the era. This chapter delves into the moral quandaries that surrounded the nuclear research of World War II and examines the enduring impact of this period on scientific and ethical discourse. The development of nuclear technology during World War II, epitomized by projects like the Manhattan Project and Nazi Germany's nuclear efforts, raised profound ethical questions. Scientists found themselves at a crossroads, where their research had the potential for both unprecedented benefit and unparalleled destruction. The uranium cube, a seemingly innocuous object, became a symbol of these moral complexities. Key figures in the nuclear race, such as Werner Heisenberg in Germany and J. Robert Oppenheimer in the United States, navigated a labyrinth of ethical decisions. Heisenberg, who remained in Nazi Germany, faced scrutiny after the war for his role in the nuclear program. Questions arose about his intentions. Was he actively pursuing a bomb for the Nazis, or was he subtly sabotaging the project, aware of the regime's atrocities? The ambiguity surrounding Heisenberg's actions during the war reflects the broader moral ambiguity of scientific research under a totalitarian regime. In the United States, Oppenheimer and his colleagues grappled with the implications of their work on the Manhattan Project. The dropping of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki brought these concerns into stark reality. The immense loss of life and long-term consequences of nuclear weapons led many scientists to reconsider the role of ethics in scientific research. Oppenheimer himself famously reflected on the ambivalence of scientific progress, quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The uranium cube, as a relic of this era, serves as a tangible reminder of these ethical considerations. It challenges us to reflect on the responsibilities of scientists and the potential consequences of their discoveries. The legacy of the cube and the nuclear research of the 1940s extends into contemporary debates about the role of science in society, the management of technological risks, and the ethical boundaries of research. Beyond ethical considerations, the scientific legacy of the World War II era is immense. The development of nuclear technology led to significant advancements in physics, chemistry, and engineering. The pursuit of nuclear power, both for weaponry and energy production, spurred innovations that have had lasting impacts. Nuclear reactors, for instance, became a source of electricity, driving forward the civil nuclear power industry. The research also contributed to advances in medicine, including cancer treatment through radiation therapy, and in other fields such as space exploration and nuclear physics. Moreover, the uranium cube symbolizes the interconnectedness of science and history. It represents a period when scientific advancements were accelerated by the urgency of war, resulting in technologies that have shaped modern society. The cube's journey from a Nazi reactor to a university laboratory in the United States encapsulates the global nature of scientific knowledge, transcending national borders and ideological divides.